Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cindy. It is May 5th. Thank you so much for being here. Just quickly, the Pick Your Crystal weekly tarot readings has received a really terrific response. And so I thank you for that. I do plan on keeping it going. For those of you who wrote in and said, I can't believe how closely it resonated to what's going on in my life, thank you for letting me know. That means a great deal. Also, I have received some lovely compliments on my comment section from viewers who have recently had private readings. And so I thank you for that. Particularly Kay and Janet. Lovely, lovely comments. Thank you. There also got one from a lady, I'm sorry, the name has escaped me, who said that she misses me and would literally watch me if I recorded a video of me making waffles. Okay, so I have to know, it'd be a really boring video because it really would consist of me, taking a frozen waffle and sticking it in a toaster. But I get the sentiment and I'm grateful and I appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. I am that person who, when there's family functions involving food, they really do want me to bring the paper plates and the napkins, just so you know. Okay, and I have cousins out there who watch this and they'll agree that's probably really accurate. Okay, I want to do a series of mini readings today because I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that I just need to sort of take a quick look at. So we're going to get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check and see what the heck is going on in Canada and especially Alberta. So Alberta is now experiencing more COVID cases than anywhere in Canada and anywhere in the United States. We have actually beat Michigan in terms of the spread, and we have a huge percentage of those cases are from the variants. So, and we have a premier who, yesterday he finally decided to tighten some restrictions. He's been horsing around and pissing around, frankly, for months and months and months because like Trump, he sort of has that little base and he just doesn't seem to want to upset them or antagonize them. Meanwhile, the rest of the province is falling apart. So there's that. That's the same government who actually has just recently released a new sort of education curriculum. And I don't know what, but it's like 90% of something of teachers and school boards are refusing to teach it. It is that ridiculous and biased a curriculum. So we've got some problems going on here in Alberta. But I'm going to do a quick look on Canada and then we're going to just get going and move on. There's a whole bunch of stuff I want to take a look at, including, Giuliani, the United States, the fact that Trump, the ban on Facebook has not been lifted. They held it up for the next 6 months. So that's nice. Okay, let's take a quick look at Canada. I'm sorry, it's going to be one of those where I'm holding up the card things. I think my table is supposed to arrive sometimes next week. I am really looking forward to it because that is just going to allow me to really get back into a routine and a schedule that is going to work for you and me and all of us. So here we go. Tell me about Canada. Tell me about Canada. Tell me about Canada. Okay. Okay, so it's not terrible, Canadians. There's going to be communications and messaging that comes out in the next little while, sort of starting now and moving forward, that is really going to have the sort of result of just leveling things out, particularly when it comes to the COVID response. We are, I think, at 40% or something of our population has been vaccinated, which is low, but things are starting to pick up. So there's going to be good communications coming out. But make no mistake, Canada, the Canadian government really does have their share of problems right now. They are not doing great on the hit parade. We have that whole situation with, oh God, I think it was the Army general, but I could be wrong. Anyway, somebody in the, the armed forces, there's, sexual allegation problem, like it's not good. And the government needs to kind of get their crap together and get that resolved and take it seriously. And so far, they've been a little bit wishy-washy. And if they're not careful, that is going to really, really impact their credibility going forward. So I like Trudeau. I make no bones about that, but man, he needs to get it together with that government of his and, put his money where his mouth is kind of thing, right? I mean, he is the ultimate feminist. So let's get cracking there, Trudeau. Okay, but it looks like you've got the Eight of Wands coming in. And so it's really a matter, it feels as if things, as they start improving, you're going to see quick improvements. Things are going to start, exponentially getting faster and better. And it looks like there's just going to be just some speed and a little bit more clarity coming forward. I have said that, the summer, especially July and August, look like, for the most part, things are going to be, sort of leveled out here. Now, I can't speak for Alberta because heaven knows, but for the rest of Canada, it looks like things are going to start settling. So fingers crossed, right? There's definitely a need for improved communications. And for those of you who are in Alberta or aware of Alberta politics, this card is looking to me like Notley. So she is the leader of the NDP party, and she has been giving Kenny a real run for his money. She has not been very flattering to him. And it feels as if somehow or another her words are going to start resonating almost across the country. And it's really going to have an impact, it feels like, on the way a lot of people view a lot of conservatives, almost like across the board. Even though Kenny is technically not part of the Conservative Party of Canada, he's the United Conservative Party, but irrelevant. It looks like she is picking up pace and speed, but for some reason she's showing up rather strongly here in the Canada reading. So look for her to start making some waves or having words that really, really impact. But overall, you've got the Strength card coming on for Canada. You've got the Wheel of Fortune card. So this is an indicator that things really are going to start getting better. And it feels as if there is going to be some financial security coming down the pike. It feels like there's just going to be a feeling, again, moving into summer, that we've sort of leveled out. There's a sense of more prosperity. And so even though things are not great right now in Canada, certainly in Alberta, it's not good at all. But overall, it looks like Canada is going to come through this relatively unscathed. Hang on, I dropped a card. Okay, there we go. So I want to take a look in the United States, I want to take a look at the Department of Justice. So yesterday, I believe it was, there was a court ruling that was basically telling the DOJ they had to release the memos and communications that went on with Barr pertaining to how the decision was made in terms of the Mueller report and releasing that information, not releasing it, etc. The judge did a very interesting thing. She sort of said, you have 2 weeks to release it because I'm giving you time, Merrick Garland, to, I didn't say that right. You know who I'm talking about. To, file an appeal or come up with something better if you don't like it. Hi, Nova. Hello, little fella. He's gotten big, eh? He's like 8 months old now. Aren't you? Okay. So I don't think that's actually going to happen. I suspect that the Department of Justice is probably going to be really anxious to release that and shed some light on what we all actually knew, but couldn't prove, right? Sweetie, I'm sure they're all loving you, and I'm sure they're loving the moment, but you need to get down, okay? Good boy. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm throwing cards everywhere here. Okay, so let's take a look at the Department of Justice. They are also vowing to go after, with the full force of the federal government, go after the states who are really trying to put in, like, worse than draconian measures against the LGBTQ community. They're going to be pushing back on that pretty hard. And I actually think they're going to be pushing back on the whole voter suppression thing. Also, Texas looks like it's in a heck of a lot of trouble because some really big companies are saying, no, no, we don't like this. And when you have the big oil companies in Texas saying, we don't approve of what you're doing, you got to think at some point Texas has to listen. I'm going to take a quick look too at the GOP, but let's just focus in for a second on the Department of Justice and what is going on there. United States Department of Justice, United States Department of Justice, United States Department of Justice. Interesting. So the card that I had to bend over to pick up because it flew out has showed up. So let me get to that. Okay, so this thing is starting off with the Four of Wands. So it's talking about sort of a sense of a return or moving towards a place. I don't even want to say return. I want to say moving towards a place where the Department of Justice is sort of cleaning house. They are taking care of business. They are getting new messages out. I am not going to go so far as to say that this is, a celebration or they're getting very excited about stuff, but they're doing what needs to be done to right the ship, if you will. And it's being well received. It's being well received within sort of the offices of the Department of Justice, not only, in Washington, but literally across the country. For the most part, there is a sense of like clearing out the riffraff, right? Like getting rid of. And the fact that there were things that Barr did to shield the president, and frankly, to shield other people that the president wanted to shield, and I should stop calling him that, I'm going to call him the other guy. That is going to come back, and it's going to come back, and I think it's actually going to bite Barr in the butt. But more, it's going to give the current Department of Justice the opportunity to kind of say, listen, we know it was really bad, and we know there was a lot that was kept hidden. We know that the practices of the department were giving a lot of people anxiety and worry and stress. I hear you. We hear you, and we're working to correct that. And this is the card that flew out. So the Three of Cups. So it's talking about, you know what? Yeah, that department is ultimately going in the right direction. And it very much feels like they're going to be gaining sort of the reassurance of the public as they go forward, sort of step by step by step. There's definitely a sense that they've just got clear messages that are going out, and frankly, those messages are being well received. People are hearing what they're saying, and they're liking what they're hearing, okay? So that actually looks really good. I mean, I think Merrick Garland is just doing an amazing job because he took on one heck of a big mess. And it seems that he functions in a way that is just very calm and very quiet and just sort of methodical and careful. But it definitely looks as if the Department of Justice is sort of going to be able to really, just start righting the wrongs, right? Just start fixing stuff that needed to be fixed. And that's not only as a result of the previous administration, but things, frankly, that probably needed to be fixed for a while. So, and the fact that Biden is making sort of such a clear picture of him really, really staying out of their business is also really helpful after, what has gone on in the last little while. Hang on. Okay, and this is why I really don't like doing cards this way because they tend to get everywhere. Okay, I want to take a quick look at Giuliani. Here we go. Rudy Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani. Now, this is a man who is in a heap of trouble, eh? So to say he's a little worried about it is an understatement. He may be sort of, doing this whole bluster nonsense publicly, but he is I was going to say smart enough, but I'm not actually sure that I don't feel like he's actually functioning in a place where he's relying on his intellect as much as he seems to be relying sort of on his emotions and fear. But, he needs to learn that every time he opens his mouth, he makes it worse for himself. But he is so addicted to the limelight. He is so addicted to being front and center that he can't do that. He realizes at some point he's going to have to cut his losses. So this is interesting, right? Now, apparently, I heard somebody say the other day that, I think actually it was Michael Cohen, who probably would know, that Trump did not like Giuliani, and Giuliani did not like Trump prior to Trump, doing the whole I'm going to be president thing. And so there was sort of speculation about, okay, well, what happens if it's bad enough for Giuliani that he decides to turn? And the bigger fishes they would be going after, of course, would be Trump and by extension his family. And so that was a really interesting thought. And certainly Michael Cohen felt that was actually a real probability because in actual fact, if you think about it, Giuliani has gotten everything he's going to get out of Trump. And except Trump has stopped short of calling him the coffee boy, but one doesn't know how long that's going to take to happen. So Giuliani, in the worry and the anxiety, is also starting to recognize that, he's going to have to walk away from some stuff. He's going to have to cut his losses. And that makes him sad because he really, really likes to be in the limelight. But again, he has a lot of very sad cup cards, right? So emotions. And he's in a world of trouble. And he really... I don't know at this point, it feels like he's starting to get it. Not that he understands it, not that he's sort of absorbed and processed exactly how much trouble he's in, but there's definitely a sense that he is starting to take the degree of seriousness that he is in, the degree of legal jeopardy he is in, with a little bit more seriousness. He realizes that there were some business partnerships, not only with Trump, but with oh my God, what are those two Ukrainian, Russian, whatever they were, businessmen? Les and whoever. So, and they were the ones who, in part, were feeding the information that was trying to take down the ambassador, Yovanovitch. So he is starting to recognize that, honestly, there is going to be a lot of scrutiny about who he was conducting business with and how that business was being conducted. And I mean, right now, what is being investigated is, whether he was basically acting as a foreign agent without registering, and exactly how involved he was with her ultimate, firing. So he's concerned because, It feels very much like things are moving in a way. Oh my goodness, look at what's at the bottom of his deck. Okay, so the Five of Pentacles, so that's not good. He's starting to realize that actually things are moving faster than he kind of anticipated they would or thought they would, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because he's been under investigation for a while, but apparently, you know, a little slow on the uptake there. And he's starting to, you know, I don't know right yet, but very soon he's going to be entering that place of, okay, wait a minute, it's either them or me. And I need to make some serious decisions about exactly how much I'm prepared to sacrifice, right? He is also in real trouble financially. Like there seems to be a sort of a significant shortage of fluidity in terms of fluid cash. And he has, I heard, I think it was yesterday I saw it. He has legal bills that are somewhere apparently in the $250 million range. Now, I don't know anybody who has that kind of cash sitting in their savings account, so he could be in trouble. And again, you know, there was a lot of dark money, there was a lot of shady dealings, there was a lot of stuff going on that really shouldn't have been going on, and it's going to continue to surface. And the news is going to get from bad to worse to unbelievably bad for him. Like there, I am not seeing a place or a space where he can actually even take a breath. And as things continue to, you know, sort of come out, and people start drilling down on what Trump knew, what was going on there, he's just going to be in more and more trouble. So I'm thinking this isn't going to be a great, you know, summer for Giuliani. All right. Let's look at the other guy. Let's just see what's going on with him. I don't know how many of you might have seen the video of him standing sort of forlornly on that little, I don't know, little raised stage that almost looked like a veranda of Mar-a-Lago, you know, doing this rant about, you know, the election was stolen and you know it and I know it. That's like his go-to phrase, right? You know it and I know it. It makes you feel like, yeah, no, actually, you're wrong and I don't know it. But anyways, and there was like, you know what, I don't know, 3-4 dozen people in the audience who were like, oh my God, what's going on, right? You know, there were a few people in the audience stomping their feet and going, yay, yay, yay. But, you know, you could actually pick out individual voices, so it doesn't sound like that was a particularly boisterous situation. And now, of course, Facebook has extended the ban. And what the board said basically was they have 6 months to make a permanent decision. And meanwhile, Trump is trying to launch this sort of media thing that he's got going on. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we can get some clarity on whether that's actually going to go forward. I really feel like he's another one who, I don't know. It feels like a lot of what's going on right now is like bluster and, you know, get the base riled up. But it doesn't feel as if it has legs, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like it actually has sort of longevity attached to it. It feels very much like this is what he's doing now to keep his, you know, face in the news and his toe in the game. Okay. So, tell me about Trump, tell me about Trump, tell me about Trump. Okay, bottom of the deck, Hangman. So, okay. So we're starting off with the Seven of Swords, right? And so this is talking about basically his thievery, right? Ill-gotten gains, money that he acquired under false pretenses. It feels like the word laundering, money laundering, is going to start becoming more common when speaking about this fella. It feels like there's just going to be more information coming out. I keep hearing ill-gotten gains, ill-gotten gains. So there's something going on there that's going to surface, and it's really, really going to be bad. And the thing is, it's not enough that it is publicized. In some ways, it's not even enough that he's indicted, which he will be, because you can't shame the guy, right? So this is more, it feels like, about he really needs to be severely slapped on the wrist. And again, he has not won one single court case. Not one ruling has come down in his favor this entire year. I mean, come on, people, we're in May. Not one. Just this week, he got slapped down again because he didn't want to do a deposition. He didn't want to sit for one. And it started with, I can't possibly do a deposition because I am president. And now his story is, I can't possibly do a deposition because I was president. The judge said, yeah, no, you need to sit down for that deposition. He is going from bad to worse, from bad to worse. And in some ways, that really does explain that sort of kind of crazy, right, that's going on right now, that kind of saying things and doing things. I mean, apparently he, on this sort of media thing that he's creating or launching or whatever the heck he's doing there, he went after Liz Cheney, Mike Pence, and Mitch McConnell. Like bang, bang, bang. So he's going after whoever he feels is not 1,000% backing his insanity. And the problem is, I heard somebody say this phrase, and it feels absolutely accurate. They said he gaslighted to the point where he gaslighted himself. He's going to be, that was the Two of Swords, he's going to be having to make some really almost binary decisions, some real difficult choices. And the problem is that in some ways he's blind to the reality. He doesn't really want to see the reality of the situation he's in. And so as a result, the choices he makes are not necessarily going to be in his best interest. And we already know from 4 years that he doesn't listen to sound legal advice. And beyond that, he now has lawyers that I don't think are serving him well, in my humble opinion. So, in a lot of ways, he himself, by his words and his actions, are actually going to make his legal difficulties even worse. And this is what's going to happen. The harder he tries to get himself into smooth waters. And the thing is he doesn't really want to be in smooth waters as much as he does the whole distraction, right? You're looking at this and I don't want you to, so I'm going to say something outrageous. I'm going to do something, etc. But the more he does that and the more he opens his mouth, the more there is communication, the worse it's going to get. And people, even in his circle, are like, oh my God, I wish we could just shut this guy up. But he is now uncontrollable, because that's what happens when you let a petulant child rule the roost without any attempt to sort of bring, him into some kind of alignment. That's what you get, right? You get somebody who just thinks they can do whatever they want and get away with it, because really he hasn't ever truly faced any significant ramifications or consequences for all of his bad acts. And at this late date in the game, it really does feel like this is going to start coming up to kind of bite him. And however much longer he has on the planet, they are not going to be years spent celebrating. They are going to be years trying to salvage. They are going to be years where he really does sink deeper and deeper into a place of complete delusion. Because this is the thing, right? If you keep saying to yourself 100 times a day, that election was stolen, and Mike Pence screwed me over, and Mitch McConnell didn't do what he was supposed to do, and Biden had a whole bunch of, on the voting machines, whatever it is. If you say that to yourself over and over and over again, it simply becomes your truth. It just does. All right. Let's take a quick look at the GOP. So this has been sort of amusing me in the last couple of days. So Florida jammed through this, all of these really strict voting measures. I don't know if DeSantis has signed that bill yet, but apparently he said he was gonna. Well, after it got sent to him, people started to realize, like, oh no. We are making it difficult for the older Republicans who really are the GOP's base to vote. Uh-oh. And you know what? You'd think these people would learn. They did the exact same thing with the election, right? They were yelling and screaming from the rooftops about mail-in voting and this and that. And they lost the election. What is that telling you people? But nope. They played the same cards because that is what's coming out of the crazy person's megaphone, right? They will do whatever they can. If he wants to believe the election was stolen, it was because of, shady, dealings going on with how people were voting, they're going to say it. And then after they said it and done it, now they're going, wait a minute. That's going to not be good for us, because the very people that are, we were targeting these people, except it's really going to badly it's really going to badly impact those people that were actually really counting on them to vote. So there's that. And I can't remember what state it is, and I apologize, but yesterday, apparently someplace issued such difficult voter ID or voter registration laws. And then the very people who sort of enacted the rules had something coming up where they had to vote, and they realized that even they couldn't comply with the rules that they had set up. They were that strict and that ridiculous. And then they tried to exempt themselves from the rules so they could do what they wanted, and then that wasn't going to work. So again, a lot of this, we're going to make it really hard for you guys to vote because we don't like you. You're the wrong color. You're the wrong economic group. You're the wrong whatever. It's coming back on them. And so that's going to be really interesting. And of course, as I said, you've got Texas with, those really big corporations, but I think the ones that they're going to listen to the most, of course, are going to be the oil companies. And they're all, what is it? Exxon, I don't know, 2 or 3 of the really big ones. Shell. Anyways, they're all saying, no, we do not approve and we do not agree with the kind of stuff you're bringing in terms of voter registration laws. So there we go. So there's that. Let's take a look at the GOP and see what is going on there. So GOP. Interesting. Really interesting, because honestly, in some ways, I would say they got some really good cards, except unfortunately, I'm reading a lot of them in reverse. So you have the world card to start with, right? So what you're talking about there is the ending of a cycle, and they're trying to start a new beginning, and the new beginning that they're trying to create is this, not the grand old party, but the party of Trump. And so they're kind of killing what might have saved them because they are complying with what is ultimately going to bring down their destruction. And there was a lot of dissent within the party itself. Now, publicly, there's a lot of, kumbaya and we're all united and blah, blah, blah. But really behind the scenes, there's a lot of like, it's sort of like, Thanksgiving dinner with a dysfunctional family. Okay, it really, really feels like there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes that we're not hearing about. And their message is getting scrambled. It really is. It's confusing people who were still hanging in there. And again, the only ones who are listening are the ones who operate in the shadows, the Trump supporters, the motorcycle, I guess. The people who are shady at best. And so this is the thing to keep clear in your head when you think about the GOP. First, they're filled with dinosaurs, and that energy is no longer going to be sustainable on the planet. Second, at best, they have, 25, 30, maybe even 35% of the people of the United States behind them. And that number is dropping as more and more of Biden stuff comes in to play. The latest one, if you haven't heard, is there was some sort of a small business or a restaurant business. There was some funding, some emergency relief funding that is now made available to these businesses to help keep them afloat. And the GOP people are up there sending out messages saying, this is now available to you. Get in line. Come on, come get your money. And there are several people following behind their tweets, basically saying, this was what you voted no for. Nice had you voted for this instead of against it. So as they're literally trying to steal the thunder, they're getting called out on it. And this is something that the Democrats have sort of started to do with more consistency. And that is calling their bluff and not letting this stuff slide, right? Because that is sort of one of the issues with the Democrats is they're a little too nice. They really are, and they don't want to make waves. But they're starting to figure out that, you know what, if you're in a knife fight with somebody, you need a knife. And we don't propose violence on this channel. But you understand what I'm saying. You can't fight. You have to meet them on their ground, but not sort of an eye for an eye attitude. You have to call them out on their behavior as you stand, frankly, above them, as you sort of hold on to your moral center, but you have to not just let everything they do and say slide. Okay, so there's that. They are also having some real trouble with money just as a party in general, because one of the things that's happened is that, well, two things. One, Trump isn't out there really fundraising for them to any great degree right now, and so that's a problem. But additionally, a huge amount of the money that Trump was raising went directly to him and to his bank accounts. And I actually think that may be under investigation too. I'm not sure. But the point is financially, they are going to actually start really feeling some of the consequences of who they have supported, who they are going after and attacking. And it feels like going forward, there's actually going to really, really be some problems. Their status is crumbling. And it's crumbling, interestingly enough, because the Democrats and the independents are sort of calling their bluff. And people are starting to see what a competent government looks like, acts like, speaks like, and functions like. And that is going to be the strength that sort of really, really demolishes the GOP. Because they're not going to, kind of in an apples to apples comparison, they're not going to gain people, okay? They will continue to hemorrhage people. And again, they're going to be left with those people that, but typically you would sort of put in the category of so right-wing that, you can't kind of make sense of what they do and say and think. Okay, and I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to take a look at. Okay, for right now, I think that's good. I hope I've covered some areas that you were interested in. I'm looking forward, as you are, or you tell me you are, to returning to some sort of a regular schedule. And I'm really hopeful that's going to be really soon, because I miss you guys and I miss the interaction. It's still a little crazy around here. So, if you're sending me an email or you write a comment, I get to them. But I'm just not getting to them sort of as fast as I typically would have, just because there's really still a lot going on. So, and of course, now with the COVID situation here in Alberta, more restrictions are coming down. And so in some ways that makes some of the things that you want to get done or need to get done a little, harder to accomplish. I'll say it that way. Okay, so listen. Stay safe. Keep the comments and the thumbs up coming. To my new subscribers, thank you so, so much. To my donors, oh my God, you guys are amazing. Thank you for that. I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. When I get those sort of unsolicited donations, it just humbles me. It brings me to my knees, because whether it's $5 or, a whole lot more than that, it means that what I'm doing is appreciated, and that you're taking a moment and sharing your hard-earned resources with me. And I just cannot thank you enough. So until next time, and frankly, heaven knows when that'll be, take care, be well, and I'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.